Hello, Governor, and welcome to YemmyCast, a video game podcast on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, and a little bit of Twitch. Just random things being uploaded to Twitch, just because, you gotta test the water a little bit. You gotta dip your toe in, you gotta make sure it's not too cold, or you're gonna freeze to death. Once again, yes, I am Yemmy the Ferret, aka Yemmy, and this is YemmyCast, which is a multi-platform podcast that premieres at 4 p.m. Wednesdays and also is uploaded on Saturdays as well, and it's also available on all other platforms the same day. So thank you for coming around, thank you for stopping by, thank you for listening. Obviously this is an ever growing podcast, an ever evolutioning podcast, if that's how you say it. Trying to improve every episode. Obviously, sometimes things don't work. Sometimes things do work. I think we're gonna start hitting a stride now. But once again, thank you for stopping by. Of course, applause all around. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today's episode is going to have a good amount of news in it. Last week, I did premiere the Saturday episode. I don't usually do that. So this week, or last week on Saturday, I did premiere the Saturday episode on YouTube. And because it was a larger episode with news and stuff like that, so, excuse me. Because it was a larger episode with news and stuff like that, so I thought might as well throw it out there with a premiere, and luckily a few people joined. You can't always have 50 people in your streams. Sometimes you just gotta be happy with like 3 or 4. But hey, we got a lot to talk about today, including Article 13, which is a controversial thing in the EU right now. We also have information on the state of play that I almost said Nintendo, that Sony did last week. And then there's just a bunch of like news stuff that I found out. We have Danny DeVito news. We have, of course, more PlayStation VR news. We have Rock Band news. We have some Xbox stuff today, and we also have Quantic Dreams information, new information about that development studio. All right, so let's just jump right in, get started, get running. Sweat pouring out the body, mom spaghetti, stuff like that. Very funny stuff. Alright, so Article 13 has been voted in by the EU, which is the European Union. This isn't going to affect America, but this is quite a big story because, these are things that could come to America and almost did come to America back when net neutrality was a hot topic. But the new rules in Article 13 will hold tech firms like YouTube, Twitch, Google, stuff like that. They'll be held accountable for content posted without copyright permissions. And the article is actually excluding memes and GIFs. So those will be allowed. So Twitter, I think, will be okay. but YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that will still be a little bit in hot water. Many musicians and creators have said that the legislation was fair. Like Sir Paul McCartney has said that he was in support of it, but there's also been a lot of artists and musicians and content creators who have been against it as well. So it's really a hot topic in Europe right now. I know a lot of people were petitioning the government and protesting the government and doing stuff like that. And I'm just surprised that they still went through with it, even though there were so many different things going against them. So there was actually 2 new articles included. So there's Article 11 for like news platforms, and then there was Article 13. And Article 13 holds larger technology companies responsible for material posted without a copyright license. Tech companies already remove music and videos which are copyrighted, but under the new laws, they will be more liable for the copyrighted content. So the YouTube algorithm will no longer probably just point out copyrighted songs and give the revenue to someone else or mute the videos. They'll be probably putting in content filters so that those things can't even reach the site in the first place. Once you upload a video, they're probably going to implement a bot that'll track down certain songs and noises. I said songs twice there, but certain noises too that could be copyrighted, and they'll just erase your video. They'll probably send you a message, and they'll probably give you a strike. To be honest with you, Twitch, on the other hand, is a different nugget, because they allow music to be played on their website, but the parts where the music are usually muted in the post video. So maybe they'll just have the streaming site axe out the music or the whole video in general, and just be a streaming site without any backups of what you've done, other than the clips and stuff like that. So the memes have been excluded from this article. There were small tweaks made to the law earlier this year that made memes safe for purposes of quotation, criticism, review, caricature, parody, and pastiche. I don't know what that last one means. I'm sure someone in the chat will tell me. But this is still, I mean, it's something at least, but it's still very frightening to me, as a content creator myself. Even though I don't use a lot of copyrighted songs and stuff like that, there's still the problem with, what about Let's Plays? Are those technically you using copyrighted content, on your channel? Stuff like that. And that can be worrying, because who knows where this will avalanche to next. The future is a little bit uncertain, to be honest with you. If this still needs to get through on the state level, it says. So it's kind of like America, where the government or the higher powers will vote something through, and then the states have the final say in it all. But they have 2 years to implement the rules once it's officially published, or they'll have legal action taken against them as well. So once again, kind of frightening, kind of scary. Who knows? Maybe this podcast won't be around in a few years if America gets something like this. Like I said earlier, net neutrality was voted down after Ajit Pai, or whatever his name is, tried to force it through Congress, but that was taken down. And I think a lot of that had to do with people, concerned citizens, calling their representatives, calling their congressmen and women, and telling them that they don't want this to go through. And unfortunately, it just didn't work in the EU, I guess. So hopefully this doesn't spell doom and disaster for my friends in Europe and in the UK who are YouTubers, who are Twitch streamers, who are content creators in any form, because this could drastically change how YouTube works cross-platform and worldwide. Very scary stuff, but we'll have to wait and see on the full spectrum of this. All right, let's move on to something a little bit more hearty and happy. State of Play, which is PlayStation's new live stream event, was done last Wednesday, and what do you know? Lots of things announced. Was it as good as Nintendo Direct? I don't think so. A lot of the stuff that they showed off in this was things I either didn't care about or I didn't, have much interest in. But there were a few things that stuck out to me, including Iron Man VR. So Iron Man VR was announced. It was the first thing that popped up on the screen. At first I thought it was Cyberpunk, and then, of course, something exploded and Iron Man zoomed through, and it showed the Iron Man VR logo. So this is kind of interesting. I always thought that Iron Man would be a good fit for a VR game, since you are in the mask and you are flying around, and you really don't have to move a lot yourself, but obviously you'll use the VR controls to shoot things, kind of like he does in the movies. And I think this is going to be kind of cool. Is it going to be on rails? It might be a rail shooter. If it is a rail shooter, that might be a little bit more disappointing to people, but I personally would think that that's okay. But I'm pretty sure it'll be a full, kind of a full experience, I would say. So that's really cool. Are you gonna suit up and be Iron Man on the VR? That's kind of a cringy thing right there. Also, Sony showed off Five Nights at Freddy's VR, Help Wanted. So this is going to be a new version of Five Nights at Freddy's. It looks like it's going to kind of be more like the first version of Five Nights at Freddy's. I think we all knew that this was going to come around. Obviously, Five Nights at Freddy's is still huge in the younger communities. There's still a lot of fans of it, and they keep pumping out those games, and this is the next one for VR. So if you're unfamiliar with Five Nights at Freddy's, you watch a computer, you close doors, and you get jump scared. That's pretty much the whole thing. This might be a little bit more intense since you are playing with a VR headset on, and you are kind of physically there in the virtual world. So it might be a little bit more intense. Am I going to try this one out? Probably not. So, Concrete Genie is coming to the PlayStation. Kind of looks like that Mickey Mouse game where you use the paintbrushes, for me personally, but this is a little bit more gothic, a little bit more indie, I would say. So, this is going to come later, 2019 in the fall. It looks very stylized. Not much else to say about this. It looks like an interesting game. Obviously, the visuals are quite beautiful. Kind of looks like that Coco movie from Disney last year with the art style. Like I said, it might play a lot like that paintbrush game from Mickey Mouse from Disney. But we'll see how it is. Also, Crash Team Racing is revealing PlayStation exclusive content like the original models for the characters, and it also showed off new tracks and and the battle mode as well. So this is going to be pretty cool. This is coming out later this year, not too long from now though. So make sure you guys get your pre-orders in if you want to pre-order the game. If you don't, whatever, that's fine by me. But it's pretty cool that they're giving the PlayStation 4 some exclusive content since Crash used to be a PlayStation exclusive. He used to be the mascot of PlayStation, and now he's kind of multi-platform, and they're giving us some retro-style PS1 skins for Crash, Coco, and Neo Cortex. Pretty neat. Pretty cool. Also, they showed off more Days Gone story mode. They showed off a lot more of the cinematics in the game. Not too much open world until the end. There's no question in my mind that this is going to be the must-have game of the year. I think I said that the last article that I read about Days Gone. This obviously is I mean, the hype is really large, but also I think the quality in this game is going to be really large as well. So I think that this is going to be one heck of a game. It's definitely going to be a must-have. I know I say that a lot, but it's true. It is very true. So, my opinions on the State of Decay, I'm sorry. Oh, boy. So, my opinions on the State of Play, it was pretty good. There wasn't as much as I thought there would be in the State of Play thing. I feel like with time this will evolve into something a little bit better. Even though I do have a PlayStation VR and I do love the PlayStation VR, I still feel like there was way too much VR in this one. I felt like there wasn't enough new stuff about regular PlayStation games. Maybe they don't have anything. Maybe they just, they were like, we really want to push the VR right now. We really want to, have it fly off the shelves. And I guess, Iron Man VR is pretty cool. Obviously there's still a lot of games for the VR coming out weekly. PlayStation still supports the VR. They still update the VR. So I'm glad that they're doing stuff with the VR. But obviously I want to see more than just No Man's Sky, just these regular games that are on the VR. I don't want to see a whole State of Play about VR again. This was fine. This was fun. We got some new things coming out. We got some nice additions to the VR library. But to be honest with you, I could use a little bit less VR and a little bit more PlayStation, to be honest with you. Other than that, I felt like it was fine. I felt like the not having like an actual presenter was probably the best way to do this. I know Nintendo likes to trout their CEOs and stuff like that, and even though they are likable people, not gonna lie, Reggie Fils-Aimé was a great person, and so is all the other CEOs of Nintendo. But I feel like just having a voiceover and streamline it by just having you go through everything. I like how they had like little slivers of what was coming up next, so you can kind of guess what they were going for. Other than that, it was pretty it was pretty good, not too bad at all. And actually, with more PSVR news, the PSVR install base is over 4.2 million worldwide, so that's very good. That's very good for the PlayStation VR. No wonder PlayStation keeps updating it and keeping it and making it better. Obviously, people still want an updated version of the VR, maybe something a little bit less clunky, a little bit less big, maybe something that has a built-in battery on it so you don't have to have wires, maybe something that utilizes a built-in headphones as well. But obviously, I think the VR headset is competent now. I think it's fine right now. I haven't played much of it in the past few months, but I've played a good amount of VR games to know that, yes, it gets a little bit sweaty under there, so they could use a little bit more ventilation. But other than that, I feel like it's pretty good. I think the next update to the VR should be something quality wise with the screen inside of it, or the device itself. I think a built-in battery would work very well for this. And I think having less wires would be a step up too, and not having to have that little tiny box next to your PlayStation, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that there can be and there will be a lot of improvements to the VR as it gains more traction, as more people buy it. As I said, 4.2 million units is nothing to scoff at. Like, that's pretty good, especially for a VR headset that was over $400 to have the whole bundle at a time. Now it's kind of reduced in price, which is great for people who are gaming on a budget. And I feel like it's still worth it. I feel like when the VR came out at first, it wasn't as worth it, but now I feel like, damn, VR is worth it now. Like, you have so many games coming out every week. There's so many quality VR games. Sure, there's some trash ones that you can throw away and say, fuck that. But for the most part, I feel like VR right now as it is pretty close to being what everyone wants it to be, and I think it's only up from here. It's only up from here. I'm sure they will take whatever they have for this VR headset. They're going to improve it. They're going to keep improving it. They're going to keep updating it. And I think with the PS5, we're going to have a nice new VR headset. Maybe it'll come with the system. I hope not, because we know what happened with the Xbox Kinect being packaged in with every single Xbox console. So hopefully they don't do that, but I would like to see a bundle. So if I am in the mood to get a PS5 when it does come out initially, I would like to have the option to buy the VR as well, but don't have that be the only option. We don't want people, getting pissed off over this. You know what I'm saying? All right, so this is kind of random, but in the comic book Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, there was a little Super Mario Bros. Tribute in it. So while Peter Parker is talking to someone else, he's talking about what he did underground, underneath the city, and what they did was they actually had the artist draw out a kind of like a Super Mario's themed level behind him as he's talking. Obviously it's a comic book, so it doesn't move, but it does have the style of a underground Mario Bros level, so that's pretty cool. I don't think that this means that there's going to be like a Mario Spider-Man crossover. I mean, can you imagine Spider-Man with like a big M on his chest, and he's like, "It's a me, a Spider Mario." I mean, if there's a whole Spider-Verse out there with a Peter Porker, why wouldn't there be a Spider Mario? I don't know. I don't think this is gonna become of anything. I think that the artist was like, I feel like this is kind of a cool concept. Obviously Peter Parker is a little bit more goofy, a little bit more laid back, so they went with that style. Alright, so this is kind of PlayStation and Nintendo and kind of Xbox news. Gollum, which is the Lord of the Rings game that's supposed to be coming out in 2021, looks like it's going to come to the Switch, possibly, when it's released. If the Switch is still the main console of Nintendo, the developers are saying that they will put it out onto the Switch. But the makers of Gollum, the Lord of the Rings Gollum. This is going to be the first game from the Lord of the Rings series since Shadow of War, and it's going to be the first one for the new consoles that are going to be coming out for the next generation, or the next gen. The next generation of consoles, Gollum is being made for that. So the CEO had something to say about the development of Gollum, and they're saying that we tell Gollum's story from a perspective never seen before in any storytelling medium, all while staying true to the legendary books of J.R.R. Tolkien. At a time when the game industry is undergoing structural changes and seeing new business models evolve, we are excited to realize a huge new production based on a story that has stayed fresh and relevant for more than 60 years. So we'll see what this means for Gollum. What is Gollum going to be? Is it going to be like a Lord of the Rings Conquest type of game? Is it going to be like a Shadow of War type game? Is it going to be like a Lego game? Is it going to be like the early days of gaming? Is it going to be like the Hobbit game? Or is it going to be like the Lord of the Rings Two Towers game? We don't know yet. Obviously, there's nothing but concept art right now. It is looking kind of freaky if you go by the concept art. But I'm all for Lord of the Rings games. Obviously, while I was growing up, there was a ton of them because that's when the movies were being released and the books were very, very popular. So games like I mentioned, Lord of the Rings Two Towers, Return of the King, Conquest, The Third Age, Battle for Middle-earth 1 and 2. These were games that were huge in my childhood and obviously a lot of other people's, and I would like to see a return of Lord of the Rings type games. I really enjoyed my time with Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War was a little bit less in my opinion, but I still had fun with it. I'm really excited to see more Lord of the Rings games come to fruition. Okay, so the final episode of The Walking Dead is out right now on Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox and PC. You can play through the final episode now, called Take Us Back. And in this episode, after years of facing the road and threats and all that stuff, Clementine has a chance for a new home, and you're going to be coming to face with becoming a leader while watching over AJ, and also saving your friends and stuff like that. Now, I haven't played the final season. I haven't played episode 1 or any of the episodes. So obviously, I don't know if there was a difference or a change in style from the time that Telltale went under to the time that Skybound took over. I don't know about that, but this is the end of the series. This is the end of the story. This is the end of Telltale games in general. I mean, they canceled all their other games. This was the only one that was still in production when Telltale closed, and Skybound took it over luckily and finished the story. But I don't think we're going to see any more games like this for a while now. I know Life is Strange is still kind of going strong. I've already kind of voiced my opinions on season 2 or Life is Strange 2 and 1 and Before the Storm, but let's just say that I think this form of storytelling, this form of game, is kind of going to be phasing out. What I would like to see is more games like Back to the Future, or even the Jurassic Park game from Telltale were really interesting. They made you think a lot. These games don't make you think a lot. These games just make you choose a choice, maybe search for something, and you're good to go. The games like the Max and what was it, Max and someone, I forget what they were called, but those games back in the day where it was early Telltale, it was a rabbit and a dog, it was amazing. I would really like to see those kind of games come back. Obviously, we haven't seen many of them. The only one that we've kind of seen so far has been like that Sir Winklebottom's detective thingamajig, and that's still a point-and-click game and not something in a 3D world. So hopefully we'll see more games that are in the vein of like Back to the Future, the game, or something like that. But for now, we're closing the book. On The Walking Dead. Alright, it looks like Hi-Rez Studios is going to be bringing Realm Royale to the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, they've already brought in games like Paladins and Smite onto the Switch, but now it looks like Realm Royale is going to be released on the Switch as well, which is the Battle Royale version of Paladins. Pretty much you use crossbows and swords and bow and arrows and stuff like that. Character powers as well. It's kind of like a fantasy version of Fortnite, I guess you would say. So, data miners have uncovered that Switch Alpha Pack has been spotted in the game's files, along with a 3D model of an incomplete Nintendo Switch chicken. I'm not sure what this means, but people are pointing towards the Nintendo Switch release. I don't think it's any question that it won't, that it will come to the Nintendo Switch. It's on all the other platforms, and they've already released games onto the Switch. So it's just a shoo-in to get on there, especially with how popular Battle Royale games are right now. But the motto of the podcast, we shall see. Alright, so Super Mario Party finally got its first update, and the only thing it did was fixed an issue with the online marathon mode in which ranking data was not displaying properly. And that was it. And people are pretty angry because they were expecting more, especially with Mario Tennis Aces, Splatoon 2, and ARMS getting free updates that did way more. People are expecting a new character, maybe a new map, maybe something else. Who knows? Fixes to the regular game? I don't know. So this is kind of disappointing for Mario Party fans or people who were expecting something more from Mario Party. Obviously, I don't think it's worth the buy yet. The regular levels can be fun, but there's just not enough of them, and the other modes just they don't tickle my fancy. I don't enjoy the other modes, so it's kind of taken a back seat on my gaming shelf. But if they update it and something great comes out, I'll be sure to put the game back in. I'm sure. Alright, so James Pond, codename Robocod, slips onto the Switch eShop. This is an old retro game from the Game Boy era. It's a 16-bit classic shoot-'em-up kind of platformer, and it's on the Switch now. So, how much is it? For some reason, I cannot find the price of the game, so I'm going to go grab my Nintendo Switch and see real quickly. God damn. the things I do for this podcast to make sure that I have very good information. This lies. This lies. I searched James Pond. Hold on, let me turn off the light real quickly. I searched James Pond in the Nintendo eShop, and there is no results found. There is no results found. This article lies. Nintendo Life, you're lying to me. I mean, there's literally a Twitter video of this guy playing it. I'm gonna have to look into this more. I don't know what to say. It's okay. So apparently it's supposed to be like $10 on the eShop, but maybe it's only a European thing. I don't know. You would think that they would release it on the Nintendo eShop for America too. But some things to point out about James COD. It was a classic back in the day. There were like 3 games already re-released, and now this is like the 4th one. It's a 90s game, and it's supposed to be out now. I don't know. I don't know if it's not. Yeah, I think it's just an EU release. So, joke's on me, I guess. Alright, let's move on to news about Danny DeVito. Everyone loves Danny DeVito. He's America's sweetheart. So, Danny DeVito was testing to be the voice of Detective Pikachu before Ryan Reynolds got the job. So the company has come out, actually the VFX producer, Greg Baxter, came out and said that it was really very funny, so I couldn't speak to all the reasons why it wasn't Danny DeVito, but he loved Danny DeVito, and at some point, maybe after the movie comes out, they can share the early tests of him doing the voices for Pikachu. We had to look at everything, including what fans weren't seeing yet, to make the decision, but in spite of Danny DeVito, in the spirit of Danny DeVito, they promise you that he is still inside Pikachu. So even though Ryan Reynolds got the role, Danny DeVito was actually testing to be the voice of him, and I think that would have been much more funny, and I think it would have been a better fit for the character personally. Now, I didn't sign the petition that has over 50,000 supporters, but it's a good cause, I guess. I would like to see the version of this movie with Danny DeVito, or maybe like as a prank, like release, half of the theaters get Danny DeVito version, half the theaters get Ryan Reynolds version. I don't know. Maybe because this is more of a kids movie, they wanted to have a more lighthearted character like Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu instead of gruff. Danny DeVito. Hey, it's me, Danny DeVito. I'm the Penguin. Stuff like something like that. But I guess it's gonna be fine either way. Detective Pikachu comes out in May, and like I said, Ryan Reynolds is the voice actor for Danny DeVito. Goddamn, Yemmy, for Detective Pikachu. Let's move on before I mess up even more words. Alright, so the Xbox Game Pass at PAX East 2019, it's going to have a booth, and what you can do is you can come over and join the fun. There's going to be a lot of new things to do, and a lot of games to demo as well, and there's also going to be a few sweepstakes to enter in for some wicked-looking Xbox consoles. Also, the new ID at Xbox Game Pass is going to be showcased here, which is a pass for getting, or for learning about more indie games that are going to be launching on the Xbox. Also, you'll be having Major Nelson come at you live from PAX. He's going to be doing a live radio show. If you remember from, I think it was a few years ago, they were giving out, they were doing like a wheel and it had Xbox stuff on it, and a lot of people were getting like consoles who already had consoles, and people who didn't have consoles were getting like controllers and game cards and free money for Xbox, and it was very cringy and very weird. Hopefully they don't do something like that this year, but I think this is going to be a fine booth to look after or look at. We'll see if it gains any traction or anything like that. This is the 9th year that Xbox has come back to PAX, so good on them, mate. All right, Metro Exodus is adding New Game Plus and more with the Free Ranger update. So New Game Plus is going to be unlocked at the end of the game, of course. You'll get the choice to save all your stuff, all your attachments, all your weapons and stuff like that, earned through your playthroughs, and play on New Game Plus, which will make enemy behavior different, make enemies tougher and more dangerous, and also will increase the frequency of dramatic weather changes, which is pretty cool. There's new achievements, trophies, and collectibles that are going to be added to the game, including a new set of hidden tapes, which allows you to listen to snippets of developer commentary for the game and get some behind-the-scenes stuff. So that's pretty cool. They've also are going to make some refinements to the control scheme, as well as they're going to do a range of fixes and balance performance improvements across the board. I'm sure there'll be something on the PlayStation and Xbox that'll tell you the specifics, but pretty cool. I'm glad to see that they're going to be updating the game and they're going to be trying to improve the game. Because so far, my first impressions review came out on the podcast a few episodes ago. Obviously, it was still pretty new and I was still getting into the game. Now that I'm kind of more into the game, I'm all the way to where the it's like there's pirates and stuff like that. They call themselves pirates and explorers and stuff like that. I've gotten to that part, and now I'm kind of starting to see some limitations of the game. So hopefully once this update installs, I'll go back to the game and I will try it again. Alright, so big news in the world of Rock Band. They're adding 3 bands who are very nice to Rock Band this week, including Dance Gavin Dance. I'm wearing a Dance Gavin Dance shirt today just to commemorate this. And the song Lemon Meringue Tie will be included in this one. Also, Pierce the Veil and their song Carafaneria. And now this one I can read. And also the Word Alive Battle Royale is going to be entered into the Rock Band DLC as well. So 3 great songs. Are they adding the Battle Royale song just because Fortnite is so big? I don't know, but anyways, it's a great selection of songs. It's been a little while since I've actually liked all 3 songs coming to Rock Band, so I'm still a pretty big supporter of Rock Band, I guess. I complain about them constantly. I shit on the instruments constantly, but I still play the game every week, and we still buy the DLC when there's a good song or 2, and in this case, 3. Alright, so Sony is going to cease selling full game digital download codes at retail stores. So, what Sony has come out and said that worldwide full game digital download codes will not be available at places like GameStop, Walmart, Target, all the above. The decision was made in order to continue to align key businesses globally to support full games and premium editions. They will introduce increased denominations at select retailers. DLC add-ons, virtual currency, and season passes will still be available. So this is kind of interesting. I'm not sure why they ever did put out like those little cards with the digital codes on them at retailers in the first place. I feel like if you're going to buy something digitally, just download it from the store itself instead of going to a third party and downloading it or getting the code for it. It just seems like a weird step that doesn't need to be in this. I don't know why all of a sudden my brain decided to become a robot. So yeah, this is interesting news. By April 1st, which is my birthday, they're going to be taking out all of the codes from stores. But like I said, DLC, virtual currency, and season passes will all still be available to buy digitally at stores for now. So apparently Kojima plays Death Stranding every day on the PlayStation 4. The game is starting to go into the critical phase of development where it's a playable game, and Hideo Kojima, who is the lead on the game, says that he's been playing the game almost every day exclusively, and he is trying to make it better than Metal Gear Survive. Too soon? Sorry, everyone. So it was revealed earlier this month that the title was a little bit behind schedule, but it's reassuring to know that Hideo Kojima is actually playing the game now, and he's also posting photos of ramen on Instagram. I'm guessing they're going to reveal more about this game at the next State of Play. Like I said, I'm still sticking by my theory that the PlayStation 5, this is going to be a launch title on the PlayStation 5. I'm still sticking by that theory myself personally. What do you guys think? Is Death Stranding going to be out before the next generation of consoles? Or are they going to try and slide it on the PS4 and then it's going to kind of do like a Last of Us kind of thing where it has like a remaster on the newer systems? All right, so Battlefield 5 is extending its content roadmap to the end of 2019. So now that Firestorm has been released, the Battle Royale mode, which is obviously a little bit too little too late, a lot of people are saying that it's just not very good or it's not enough to keep the game going for them personally. But now that EA has released it, they've also released Chapter 4 and Chapter 5, what days that those are going to be coming. So Chapter 4 is going to be called Defying the Odds, and it's going to bring 2 new maps, Maritia and another that lacks a final name. So Maritia is one of the map's names, and also another one that doesn't have a final name. Then at the end of 2019, Chapter 5 is going to come around, called Awakening the Giant, and it's going to promise an all-out invasion in the new theater of war. So people are guessing that this is going to be the Pacific Front. We're going to have American guns come in here, Japanese guns come in here. We're still waiting for Russian stuff. As I've said about this game multiple times, Battlefield 5 is a shell of a game. When the game released, it was only Germany and British and European forces. Now it's still the same thing with a few new guns and a few new maps and a new mode, but still the same thing. We don't have all the. This is supposed to be the biggest and best World War II game out there on the market, and you don't even have American stuff in here. You don't even have Japanese stuff. You don't even have Russian stuff. 3 major factions in the war that are just not there, non-existent. So I feel like this game is like in beta mode for some reason. Like, it feels like this game is still adding things, and I feel like they should have put a giant sticker, slap it on the front of the cover, and say, "This is a beta," like, because they're still adding stuff like it is a freaking beta. Like, I don't know what to say about this game anymore. Like, I still enjoy playing it here and there, but to me personally, like, the lack of content really starts to bring it down. And I know I did put it on my top 10 games list last year, but as I said while I was making it, my thoughts and opinions may change about this game, and they obviously have, and I really feel like it doesn't deserve to be on that list anymore. But what's done is done. I'll stand by it for now, but to be honest with you, there's just not enough content, there's not enough maps, there's not enough to do in this game, and just adding in a Battle Royale mode is not going to make me want to play the game every day again. Obviously, when it first came out, I was hyped, I was having fun with it, but now it's like I barely play it anymore, especially with the Division out now, and with newer games coming out in the future, in the next few months. I think this game's going to really take a back seat on my PlayStation. And final news for today, Quantic Dream's Detroit Become Human is heading to PC, which also opens up the way for Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and other Quantic Dream games that come out on the PC as well. So this is kind of strange to me, but the trio of games, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Become Human, are all going to launch on the Epic Games Store. And they're going to come to other platforms like Steam and stuff like that after a year has gone by. This is very strange to me. It's very bizarre to me that they're not just going to launch all consoles, all systems, all Steam and all that on the same day. But whatever. They were bought out a few months ago, and it was revealed that they were going to do this, and obviously now it's coming around to doing it. So the port for the PC is going to be developed by Annapurna Interactive. The weird thing is the platform holder, which is Quantic Dreams, has said that the titles have served their purpose as exclusives and now they're ready to put them out onto the market. The French developer recently revealed that it's turning its attention to a multi-platform or multi-format development team, and after the NetEase purchase, obviously that's going to be happening. So could we see other developers start to do this, like the From Software, who has their exclusive like Bloodborne and stuff like that? Could we see that start to peel over into the other consoles as well? We'll have to wait and see on this. I don't know. Quantic Dreams has made a good amount of games for the PlayStation. They made quality games. I didn't really like Beyond Two Souls, but I did like Heavy Rain, and I am enjoying Detroit Become Human, even though they're a little bit more linear than people are saying. I do still think that they're perfectly fine games. I haven't played through all of Detroit Become Human yet. I do want to do a few playthroughs or a few different directions with the game, but whatever. We're still moving on. We're still going on with the game, and it's fine so far. It's not like I hate it, but I will say this, that the choices are a little bit more narrow than I would have expected. But it still is a very fascinating game. There's a lot of avenues to go on, and there's a lot of things that can happen. but a lot of the options for talking and stuff like that lead to the same result. Now, that's it for this episode of YemmyCast, a video game podcast. A little bit of a reveal here. I finally purchased Far Cry New Dawn after Far Cry 5 let me down so much, and it's fine. Like, I like the new style, I like the more RPG elements in the game, but remember, I did like Far Cry 5 when I was starting out too, so we'll have to wait and see how I feel about the game by the end of it. I've watched a lot of damning things on YouTube about it, but I'm gonna give it the old college try. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna play it myself, form my own opinions, and then I'll get back to you guys on what I think about the game. So far, I've only played about 30 minutes of it. I've gotten past the like prequel stuff, and we're going into the main areas. So yeah, still going to keep trudging away on Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and all these other games that I'm playing right now. Still going to be live streaming Banjo-Kazooie and Stuntman Ignition, and once Stuntman Ignition is done, I'm planning on bringing Blur, which is a underrated racing game, to the channel as well, so stick around for that if you want to. Thank you again for watching and listening on all the different platforms that I mentioned: YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Twitch, and iTunes. I appreciate any support anywhere, and from any country. I don't care where you're from. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Article 13. Obviously, it doesn't really affect me right now, but it could affect me in the future if America decides, hey, this was a pretty good idea. I'm getting a phone call. Alright, well, once again, thank you for listening. I know I say that a lot, but it really does come from the bottom of my ferret heart. So thank you once again, and thank you for listening to this episode of YemmyCast, a video game podcast.